Welcome to the Fertility Mind podcast. I am your host, Jessica Friesen, a certified fertility mindset coach, a sound healer, and an international best-selling author. My mission for this podcast is to give you weekly episodes where you hear my own success with IVF and how mindset and manifestation changed it all for me. You will also hear from my guests who share their success stories in the fertility world. I want you to know that you are not alone. Even when things feel tough and when things feel like they aren't going your way, the tools and techniques you will get in this podcast, I know can change everything for you too. So thanks for being here with me today, and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. I have a special guest with me, Lauren. She is one of the co-authors of our book, Manifesting with Purpose, Aligning to Your Soul's Desires. And we took the same coaching program. And Lauren is a true, honest light and gift. So Lauren, take it away and let's start with the chapters that you wrote in our book.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, first of all. And I am so excited for this. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to be here and just share part of my story. And I hope it touches someone's life. So the chapters I wrote are Remember Choice and Gratitude. And I actually started writing before we even came together to write our book. And it was more of an evidence journal for me of, through this coaching program, like you said, we took a coaching program together. And through that, I was implementing the things that they were saying. And at the beginning, I was pretty unsure and uncertain if this is actually going to work, because this sounds very different from everything I had ever been told or taught or any of that. And I didn't know anyone around me practicing, meditation or visualization or going into their imagination or anything like that. And so I was pregnant at the time, and I kind of was like a recluse. Like I went into my own little hiding place, and started practicing some of these things. And it was very interesting to me, the things that were starting to change in my life, the things I was starting to see that were different. And so I had started writing, evidence of, okay, these are the things I'm doing. And I'm seeing these changes in my life that some of them I'm not even forcing to be made. They're just happening. And that was, it was a lot for me to take that in. And then I realized, the way I was thinking about things, the way I was feeling about things, regardless of the circumstances outside of me, that I could control what went on inside of me. And the more I practiced, the easier it got. And the more I started to believe that, wow, this is really different. I'm having a different experience of life right now. And I wanted that for my kids. And I wanted to teach these things to my kids. But right now they're 1, 4, and 7. So they're a bit young to really grasp all of it. But it's funny because they do understand a lot more than I realize that they do. And it's so natural for them. Like they can just accept it and then implement it. And it's like, whoa, this is really cool. There's not much resistance with little kids, And so anyhow, I started writing these things. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me in the very beginning was that I had a choice to think what I chose to think, to even do things in my life differently than what was being done around me or than I had done in the past or whatever. I realized that I didn't have to live in my past emotions and my past version of myself, that the only thing holding me back from having a different experience of life was me. The one common denominator, the one common factor in every area of my life that I was dissatisfied in was me. That was the one thing I could change. And so that's where I started, was going within and working on me. And so just the realization that I can make a different choice. It sounds so simple now saying it, but it was just profound for me because I felt trapped for a while. So that was one of my chapters. And then the other chapter is on gratitude. So once I realized I could make a different choice, it was kind of hard because I wanted to be a more positive person. I wanted, more money. I wanted a better relationship with my spouse. And I wanted, to be a better mom and like all these things. I wanted, something with my career. I wanted to shift and turn that in a little bit different direction and all of this stuff. And I I knew it was within me. And so I would work on things, and then I would look in my reality and be like, well, it's not here. It didn't happen overnight. So then to wake up the next day and be like, okay, I'm going to do this meditation and things are going to be different and whatever. And I would work through that, but it's not here. And so it's a back and forth game for a little while of I would spend one day being the version of me that I wanted to be. And then I would go back to the old me, and it was this back and forth game. And then I would spend 2 or 3 days being the me I wanted to be, and then slip back to another day of the not me I didn't want to be, my old self. Then I would spend a week, being the version I wanted to be. And then so it got to where I would go into my imagination, create the version of me I wanted to be. And then I would be her more often than I was the old me. It's like 2 different people. And so what helped me really switch into stay in the new version of myself, this new image I created myself, this new attitude that I had and perception of life that I had, what helped me stay there more was gratitude. I noticed that on the days I practiced gratitude, that I actually physically wrote in my journal, the things I was grateful for. When I spoke gratitude for other people, thank you for this and thank you for that. And I'm grateful for, even today, just coming here, it was raining. I didn't even stop to think about, wow, I'm so grateful for this rain. It's really, really dry here. It was like 2 hours. I'd been up and out and about, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it rained. I've been asking for rain and it's raining. And it took me 2 hours to be grateful for it, because I was busy with the kids and this and that. But when I stop and I practice, not just thinking it, but actually writing it, saying it, giving it to myself, being grateful for me and who I am, and being grateful for my body, and just so many things, every little thing that we can kind of skim over sometimes. When I stop and really feel grateful, not just go through the motion of it, but actually feel it, that changes everything for me in an instant. And it's not like I have to sit here and fight with myself all day long of like, oh, you're being negative right now, or you're too angry right now, or you're feeling sad right now. Like, just switch out of that into something positive and happy. And, that didn't work for me. It did not work for me to just, in the beginning, especially, to be feeling one way and just choose another one and just think it and be it. So gratitude really helped soften the mold of who I was. And it helped me love myself more when I could be thankful for me and find the things that I could be grateful for. Then I could work with that. That makes it pliable. That makes it where I can mold this thing into something different that I actually choose. So that it was like a catalyst, boom, it would set me in a whole different direction very quickly. And so that has been one of my tools that I use probably the most often. And it's something I can implement really quickly to do. So those are my 2 chapters that I was really passionate on writing.
I think, honestly, I love that you touched on gratitude. And I know that you wrote it because we went through the process. But I love how you said, like, it just didn't instantly work for you, because I felt very much the same. When I first started studying, before I met Kathleen, I was told, like, be thankful that, like, you live in a country that, there's no wars or there's no things like that. I thought, but personally, for me, I don't pay attention to the news. I keep updated in other ways, but I can't just sit down and watch the news because I find it so depressing. And like, people would say, like, be thankful you've got clean air, be thankful that you've got, a roof over your head. And I'm thinking, I am, but I didn't feel gratitude on that level at all. And I was in a dark place for quite some time. And I kept seeing, like, this experiment, and I was like, okay, I got to pay attention to this experiment that I keep seeing. And it's where they have, like, a clear glass of water and they put some type of dye in it. And they talk about how you're this clear glass of water, but then when your environment and circumstances and things happen to you, it's that, like, the little drops of the muddy water or colored water that come in. And then all of a sudden your glass is a different color. It's dark. And when it's that dark, you can't always see the things to be grateful for. And I had a lot of people acquaintances and in my life that said to me, like, you're a stay-at-home mom. You should be super, super thankful. Not everyone has that opportunity. And, and I thought, so I'd write down in my gratitude journal, like, I'm thankful I'm a stay-at-home mom. And in many, many ways, I was so grateful to be a stay-at-home mom. But there was so many underlying things going on. Like, we were in such a financial state for quite a while that it was scary. And my husband, he carried the burden of finances on him, and he thought it was all on him. And I kept saying, no, like, I carry this. Like, I know we can't afford to get our kids into daycare because it was more than what I was making if I went back to my full-time job that I had left. And, so we started some side, like, MLM businesses and things just to create an income coming in for us. Because we needed the flexibility with our step family life. Just so many things were going on, and there was a lot of contrast going on around me. And every time I tried to lean into gratitude, it was really surface level. Like, I was like, okay, well, I've got a house. I'm home with my kids. I get to raise them potentially the way I want to, but there's other influences when, there's older kids in the house. And as much as my older girls are absolutely incredible, they were going through their own things too, with friends, with school, with having a divided home. Even though, like, honestly, they are wonderful, wonderful girls, everyone goes through their own things. And, my husband was going through things as soon as he had full-time kids in the house. He was just like, he's like, Jay, he's like, I don't know how to explain this. He's like, I feel guilty. He's like, I'm so glad that we get to have kids. I'm so glad that, the twins are healthy and everything. He said, but I now have kids full time in my home, and my first three kids, they're not here all the time. They're only here 50% of the time. And he's like, how do I deal with that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But then I don't know if it was Abraham Hicks. It was something I was listening to. I started getting into podcasts, and they started talking about gratitude on a different level. And the first thing that it was said, it was very much of, what are you grateful for that you can be thankful for in your life in this moment? And for me, what I instantly thought, because I was in a lot of like social media groups around fertility, and I can't tell you how negative those places are. And it's not holding judgment. It's just these women go through so many things, and they don't necessarily have the tools or the right support around them. And they would talk about reactions, excuse me, to medications. They would talk about, um, you know, different parts of their journey. And I just instantly found, like, such immense gratitude that my body housed twins, and it went through and it endured some pretty grueling treatments and other things. But I was on the other side. I was able to have my children, and that alone, I get emotional, but it really brought me out of some dark times.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I wouldn't cry.
Well, I'm about to cry with you. So
but it's truly amazing what gratitude can do for you. But when you find on the level of how it applies to you, not just, I've got clean air, or, because we live in a first world country, we don't live in a third world. But I also like how you said, like, sometimes it takes you get busy in your day, and sometimes you're like, hey, it rained for 2 hours and I've been asking for this and it's finally here. And, I can relate. There's many times that I just get busy throughout my day. And it's not that I'm not grateful. Like, I'm in a pretty good vibe. I'm pretty happy. But then I sit down and I think, holy crap, like, I got to record a podcast today, or I got to talk to my clients today, or I got to do a sound healing treatment on someone. And then it just hits me. And sometimes it literally just instantly brings tears to my eyes. I'm like, I am living the life that I wanted. And when you're surrounded by your circumstances, sometimes it's really, really, really hard. So the outside world can look at you and say, oh, you've got it all put together. You've got XYZ. But when you're living it, you don't always see it. You're blinded by circumstance or environment or, the contrast that's going around you. And I think that's incredible when you can tap into gratitude on how it applies to you and start to see the changes. Because if someone would have said to me 5 years ago, I would be a coach, I would be openly talking about my fertility journey, helping other women and couples on their fertility journey, and being present on social media, I would have been like, yeah, no, that's not me. Not me at all. Because I got very comfortable in my little box staying at home. I felt very secluded. I felt very alone, because I felt like a lot of people didn't understand the things that I was going through. But gratitude really pulled me out of so many things. And, it's gratitude. When I started delving into gratitude, it's that I thought, I have a story to share. And this is why I'm coaching. This is why I have my podcast, because there is so many people out there that are going through not just fertility, everyone's going through something, but some people are going through some intense, dark times. And, if I can put a smile on their face that day, we're doing something good out there.
Mhm.
But just even helping my clients, like, I can't tell you the things that women say. And when you go through a fertility journey, it does something very different to you, depending on, your experience and where you are. But even when you try naturally for a long time, like, it just becomes like, why is this not working? And at least for me, I swear, a lot of stores that I went into, I would see so many pregnant women, and I thought, like, I've taken on the role of a stepmom, and I love being a stepmom, and I would give anything to have my own kids. And I was worried about the age difference between my stepdaughters and our kids when they were going to come. And I can't tell you how many teenagers I saw pregnant. And I thought, like, I really thought that this was like a cruel thing to me. And, I thought, like, maybe I'm not worthy of having, maybe my role is just to be a stepmom. And my God, I hope to God I can be the best stepmom for my girls. Um, and when I got into this information, I was like, I'm so excited to share this with all my kids. Um, and I would say you're right. Yes, the younger ones absorb it right away. And that's because they're not bogged down with, society, all the things. Like, they are just this open being of unconditional love. Whereas, my teenage girls, they've gone through a lot in their life. Like, they've gone through high school or starting high school, and just going through a pandemic in your teenage years, going through different things, just having two different homes. And, they don't have a lot of friends that have a blended family. So they went through their own things, and I was so excited to teach this to them. But it takes longer for them to understand because they wanted, like, they're a bit more self-absorbed, which all teenagers are. But I'm excited for their adult years. I'm excited for more years when they're really, really wanting to be the person that they want to be, that I can be that guiding light for them and say, you have all the power within you. And it really starts with gratitude. And it does start with remembering choice. There is so many times, like, I have sticky notes around my house, more so downstairs, in my bedroom, but it does say, it says, remember choice. I get to choose my thoughts. I get to choose my feelings. And even when some pretty cruel things happen, I go to my journal, and I did an Instagram stories the other day. A situation happened, and, like, I woke up feeling really great, and I was knocked down, and I was like full on tears. And I actually grabbed our book, and I just thought, like, us four women, everyone in the world has gone through something, but we just shared our story and how we have tools to do these things. And I started reading a little bit of each chapter, and I thought, my God, like, this is a Bible. Like, I swear, like, it has so many amazing things, but we each tell it from our side of the story. And our stories are also very different, but yet we knew we were made for more. We knew we wanted to help. And I think it's just incredible how we live kind of all over. And
Yeah.
we found this information and we knew how to turn it into something beautiful.
Mhm. That's, as you were talking, something came to mind that I heard the other day was, and I believe it was Abraham Hicks again. I don't know. We keep going back to Abraham Hicks today. um, but that is something that I love to listen to when I'm having trouble overcoming my perceived reality, or if I'm like the tools we use in our book. I love our book, and I love when I coach my clients. I have a 6-week course right now where I pour so many tools into them, and then they go on and start using them themselves. And we can continue one-on-one coaching if they still need my guidance and help. But when you have this toolbox and you start practicing using your tools, it is amazing what you can build and create. And oh my gosh. So I pull different things on different days of, sometimes I focus more on gratitude. Sometimes I'm already in a good place in my emotions and my mind and things. And so then I create more from that place. Or, I don't know. It's just, it's so fun. But it's cool now as I continue to fine tune my skills of using these tools and crafting different things of, I can pull different things on different days. And so here lately, it's been Abraham Hicks a lot. I listen as I'm driving. And so she said the other day that, some people might look at you and think like, wow, you're kind of crazy. She said, what you can tell them is that I'm healthier creating from my imagination than I am observing from my perceived reality. So our reality is just a perception. It's not necessarily real or true. It's just what we can see right now. And it's all coming from what we created because of our past emotions and our past vibrations. We're connected to that experience vibrationally right now where we're at. And so when we can take and practice gratitude, even in the moments before the things happen, or before it appears, or before we get the money, or before we get the positive pregnancy test, or before all of those things, it's raising our vibration to be a match to those things that we do desire. And it's just amazing too, because when we practice it now and we become it right now, when I become a grateful person right now, when I become an organized person right now, when I become a diligent, very just focused, and I don't know, all the things I want to be, when I become that right now, then I also experience that then when I'm grateful and I'm happy and I'm joyful right now, even in the midst of all the things going on around me that are not perfect or not what I really want right now. When I can be that person right now, then on the flip side of that, when those things happen, guess what? I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to be grateful for them, because I've had moments in my life too, where I asked for something, it came, and it wasn't great, or I didn't have the experience with it I thought I would have. And like I said, the only common denominator in all of these is me. So I could have had a better experience of it. I could have had the joy that I desired. I could have had all that if I was already in a vibration of joy, gratitude, happiness, love, all of that. So I think that's really key for anyone, whether it's a fertility journey, whether it's in your relationship, or if they already have kids, or they already have, whatever it is, if it's financial, if it's anything like that, when we can go ahead and be that person right now, when we get there, it's going to be so much sweeter, and we can be content with that for a moment until we grow into the next thing. And so, yeah, it's kind of weird when we're flipping back and forth from being grateful for what we have while we still want more. Learning to be in that sweet spot is something that took me a long time, and I'm still working on it. And I notice that sometimes I can get out of that sweet spot very easily. I can go one way or the other very easily. And so practicing gratitude for what I have and for what's manifesting still in my life has really brought the two together, and it's fused me into a person that I love, that I do look around me right now and I can see a different perception of things. I can be grateful for my right now, my present, even my past. I've learned to go back and re-see, like, have a different perception of my past than I used to have when I was living it out. Now I can see, I can be grateful for some things that used to, I hated that they were part of my past.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, okay, that molded me into who I am though. Like, who would I be if I didn't go through that? Or what skills do I have now because I did go through those things? How can I relate to people? Like, there's just so much. If we can go back and grab the gems and the treasures out of our past and bring those with us and then leave the rest that we don't want to bring with us, it's okay if we can leave it there and bless and release and forgive the things of the past. We don't have to bring them with us. They only come to our present if we bring it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a choice there too, we get to choose that. And it, as silly as it sounds, it honestly comes down to just making that choice to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it might show back up. You make the choice over and over. I think I said this in the book that, I used to think when I made one choice of like, I'm going to forgive this thing or whatever, I thought I just forgave it and just moved on. Well, no, sometimes those emotions show back up, or that pattern starts repeating in my mind again. And I have to make the choice again and again and again. Even in my marriage, I have to wake up and I recommit to my marriage every morning that I wake up. I choose to stay. I choose to love. I choose to forgive. I choose all of those things, as a mom. It's like we wake up, we recommit to being the mom I want to be. If I messed up yesterday, I got to make a different choice today. What am I going to do today? I don't have to live in regret of the past. I don't have to let that past version of me show up again today. I can make a new choice of who I'm going to be today. And in this moment, and those choices, we have choices in every moment. We recommit to that moment to moment to moment. It's not a one and done type of thing. It's a continuous process of, what am I choosing right now? I ask myself that a lot. What am I choosing right now? If these things happen, what am I choosing right now even? And so even with this podcast, I was telling Jessica before we got on here that this is our kids' last week of school and tomorrow's the last day, and it's been a bit hectic. And I was feeling a little unprepared or not worthy, or all these things start creeping in your mind before you put yourself out there in front of people. And so, but I used to sit in that for hours before I would get on a podcast or do a Facebook Live or whatever. Now it's about 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm like, no, what am I choosing right now? I can show up as love, as the best version of me, as someone who feels worthy. I've put years into working on myself. I have what it takes within me to just show up and do this right now. And so I got to bring a lot of love into this, and I got to bring a lot of gratitude, even for the opportunity to be here. And if it wasn't meant to be, I would not be here, but everything aligned and I am here. And so it is good. It is good. And when we can relax and just let things unfold, it's amazing the beauty that can come from it when we're ready to see it as that.
Yeah. I think everything that you just said, I was thinking about my husband and his business. Because there's always moving parts in everything in life. But I say to him a lot, because he is so a masculine worker. So for listeners, there's masculine and feminine energy. It's not male, female. It just means masculine energy is very much the hustle and grind, like just put your head down, check every box off. Whereas feminine energy is more spiritual. It's more ease and flow. And when you're in perfect harmony of that, things, my goodness, it's harmonious, if you will. But he is so masculine. He's like, I just have to do this. I just have to do this. And I'm like, stop, take a breath. I'm like, connect back to what it is that you want. Really, really connect right now. And he's like, okay. And he thinks about it. And he'll tell me, he's like, Jay, like, I don't have time to do all these things. I'm like, actually, you do. I said, you're on the harmony right now that you don't have time. I said, so you need to remember your choice. You have time. You can create time, because you'd be amazing when you can either disperse tasks or you connect with what you want. And then you get the ideas of like, oh, they can do this, this can do. And then all those tasks are done. And it's interesting when he's got like a crazy prep day, because he's a caterer. He'll say to me, he's like, I'm probably not going to be home till midnight. I'll send everyone home at 10 at the latest, because I don't want them working more than 12-hour days. And he's like, but I'll stay until it gets done. And then I say to him, I'm like, you need to focus. What do you want? How do you want it to go? Think about the event, think about like all the things. And he'll stop. And he's home by like 8 o'clock at night. I'm thinking, how'd you get home so early? And he said, I just listened to what you said. I really focused on what I want. And he said, like, everything was just flowing so easy. He's like, everyone was just like prepping perfect. There was no mistakes. There was no nothing. And he's like, we packed, we did a checklist, we did all these things. I was like, that's amazing. But like, there's some times where he's just like, I got to put my head down. And he's like, I'm tired, but I just got to do this. And he's there till 3 a.m. I'm like, you got to stop at some point. You got to stop. But even, like he is around me all the time and he hears me talking all the time. And he just said to me, he's like, you instantly snap me back. And I'm like, I need to instantly snap me back sometimes too, though.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think the thing is that people say, oh, well, you have the tools, so you're okay. Sure. But sometimes it takes time. And, for women that are going through fertility, I know the biggest thing that I hear women say, like, I didn't ask to be on this fertility journey. So when I say things like, we are here for a reason, I just said, like, even focus on the fact that you're here because you want to have a baby. It doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It didn't mean that you did something to deserve this to be on a fertility treatment or like going through fertility treatments. But don't focus on why you're here in that aspect. Focus that you get to be here and now, that science can help take over for you. You just need to go into your imagination. You need to choose how you want to feel. And I had one client, and she's seeing a therapist right now. And her therapist just like, she was very much like, no, do not be in your imagination. You need to process your feelings. So she was saying, she's like, I feel like I'm butting heads. She's like, I don't know who to choose. And I said, I am not here to place judgment. I am not here to say I am better than anyone else. I said, you need to do what feels right for you and for you alone. But I like how you said, it is healthy to be in your imagination and see what you want and become on that vibrational match. Feel the feelings of how amazing it would feel to have those things than being in your current reality right now, being like, okay, it's, maybe it's 5 days before my period, and then I can start my cycle monitoring and start the whole process. Or maybe you just went through something and you're waiting for your period and it's awful and you have to take a whole cycle off. No matter where you are through your journey, just remember the choice and remember to go to the place where you want to go. Because I can contest, even having all these tools, I can't control anyone in my outside world. I can only control me. And when I'm in a lower vibration, I can tell you, like, excuse my language, but the shit crumbles. And, and I remind myself, there was someone that said, you bring everything into your life. And I remember feeling like that is the rudest thing you could say to someone that's going through some high contrast situations in a blended family life, going through a fertility journey and, newly married and all these things. I'm like, I didn't ask for any of this. So F you, no thanks, not having that. And I remember just thinking, because that stuck with me a lot. It made me like raging about that.
I remember the first time I heard that too. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I almost stopped right there.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird because in some way I knew it was true though.
Mm-hmm. And like that, so regarding a fertility journey, I tell every single client there is nothing wrong with you. How I started flipping the perspective for me when I had a failed implantation or I had a miscarriage is I really sat with myself and I said, my body is perfect. And I said it until I believed it. And even if tears were streaming, I thought my body knows that this embryo and the universe knows that this embryo or embryos is not meant to be earthside. And not everyone can feel that way. Not everyone can feel that way. But you need to do what's best for you. And you need to know how you can bless and release this situation. And I flipped perspectives thinking, you know what, I get to be so much more involved in my pregnancy. I get to see my 3 or 5 day old embryo. I get to tell my kids, like I've told my twins, they're 8 now, that they were frozen in time. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, you were like in a freezer. You're like, I said, you are like a miracle. Really, you're a miracle. Your DNA was completely frozen in time, and yet you're still here living and breathing. And they're like, that's so cool. I'm like, yeah. Um, and that's the thing. Like, I just flipping the perspective, but going back to gratitude and going back to when you hear things, I ask myself, like, why am I so ragey about this? Like, why is it making me so angry? And I thought to myself, I thought, I was at such a point in my life that I didn't feel that I was worthy. And there were situations like I didn't like I loved being a stepmom, but sometimes I thought like I'm I'm just a person that is taking on 3 kids and I've got a whole lot of love to give, but like am I actually worthy of being their, their like their stepmom because they already have a mom and they already have a dad who love them. And, relationships weren't relationships with my stepdaughters were great. Relationships with their parents weren't. So I took on this like mediator role. I wanted to do all these things. Um, and through the whole process, I started really feeling like I wasn't worthy. Because many times it was brought up, well, you don't have their past. You only have their right now, their present and their future. So you don't know my kids the way I know my kids or things like that. And it wasn't just coming from the other side. Like my husband would even a few times, like I would mention something and he would say to me, he was like, Jay, but like you've only known the girls for a year. Like, no. I'm like, but I'm an outsider and I see things differently because I love them and I got to meet them at this stage in their life versus knowing them from the moment of birth to where they are now. Um, but I remember asking myself, like, I didn't ask for high conflict situations. I didn't ask for all the feelings that I felt going through a fertility journey. And I really sat with the feeling of not feeling enough. And I really understood because I harnessed that energy so much. I created situations, undesirable situations. And listeners, please understand, I'm never saying that you created a situation that you couldn't have children. I'm talking about your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs, what you hold inside of you, really create your environment. So when I started feeling like I was enough, I was empowered and I didn't let situations knock me down the way they used to. And I didn't let people treat me the way that they used to. And I started really living a far more harmonious life because I thought, I am worthy. You don't get to say these things, or this doesn't get to happen. I do have a say. I'm not just a stepmom or whatever situation. I am a person with love to give and I get to choose who I want to be. And I took control of those situations and I really understood because I didn't have that feeling of enough. I allowed people to walk all over me. I allowed things to be said or done. So again, listeners, I want you to drill into you. Your fertility journey has nothing to do with you not being enough or that, trust me, I know you did not ask for this. No one ever asks to go through a miscarriage or be in a fertility treatment and pay to have a child when, you see everyone around you having kids naturally. But I can say you will never see me on social media complaining about my children in any way, shape, or form. I have such gratitude for my kids because it took a lot for me to get them into this world. And I have more patience. And yeah, there is times parenting can be pretty dang hard, but I will never complain on social media about how parenting is hard because I'm so damn grateful that I have my kids. And I want everyone who desires to have a family, whether it's step family life or it is having your own biological children, I want you to know that you can create the life that you want and really understand the situations that are happening in your life. There's a lesson to learn from it. So when I was so ragey, I was mad because I was like, I didn't ask for this. All I do is try and love people. All I try and do is help people. Why is this happening? Well, it really boiled down to the feeling that I didn't think that I was enough. And,
Mhm.
you know, I could go on and on and on. But I really did connect the dots to like just things that happened in my childhood. I had a great childhood, but lots of things happened in my childhood that really drilled into me that I wasn't enough. And,
Mhm.
you know, that carried on. And I look at relationships that I had with people I loved with my whole heart. But there was always that feeling of like, I'm not enough for you. Like, I'm not enough for you to try to love me differently or better or treat me better. Or, you know, even finding, you know, my husband, the feeling of not enough really came present when we were going through our fertility journey, because I thought, you got to do this 3 times with someone else naturally. Like, why don't I get to do this?
Mhm.
And just even like our marriage, like we have an incredible marriage. Like he is a true gift for me. Like I honestly, like we're like fire and water. We balance each other perfectly. We have our moments. But I truly do believe like he's my twin flame. Like we have a great thing. But I said to him, I was like, if you think about it, the way we manifested each other, we were in a point in our life we didn't feel like we were enough. He felt like he had failed because his previous marriage didn't work, and he was now not having his kids full time. And he went through his own things. And I manifested a man where instantly I knew I wouldn't be enough, not for him, but for my older girls. There's obviously reservations. You know what I mean? Like you're the new girl coming into the picture. Like I already have a mom, I already have a dad. And they were young. We got to play at the park and it was a lot of fun. Um, but they went through things too when we talked about extending our family, that we wanted to have kids. And yeah, just so many things. But as
It's a
soon as yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too is that not being enough for other people is one thing, but we never will be enough for other people. So I'll tell us really quickly from the flip side of that. So I was 17, my parents got divorced. My husband and I were dating since we were 16. So I came from depending on my family for my happiness and all of that. And then all of that was like whew, gone. But it was still here. But it's weird. You go through like a grieving process of people, of a situation and people, but they're still here, but you're sad about it. And so then you feel weird for feeling sad about people that are still here, but it's just not the same. It was a very like weird experience to go through. And then so I'm dating this guy and he made me happy and he was like my escape, you know. And he was all my happiness. He was my support. He was my rock. He got me through so many things and I loved him so much. And then as we got older and things, and then he started to do things that he wanted to do in life instead of just doing everything to make me happy. Well, I did not like that. And so what I realized though was now I can't be happy because you're not making me happy. I can't be enough because you're not making me feel like I'm enough. I can't be whatever. And so then I was sad and I was like, oh my God, let me, whatever. I'm not like this. And I think we go through that too, as we're dating. It's like this trophy that we're trying to win. And then all of a sudden we get the trophy and we set it on the shelf and we move on to, whatever else we're chasing. So we already got the trophy. And I was feeling that way. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Through studying myself, I realized that it does not matter if anyone else makes me happy. That is my job. It's not his job to make me happy. He is not God. That another person can never fulfill that role except for God, me. Another person can never make me feel like enough except for me. I have to be enough for me. Then I can feel enough for all these other things because other people's opinions really do not matter. And I mean, I knew that in my head, but I didn't ever feel that in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was different. And so when I finally realized like, oh, like I can be happy just because I choose to be happy. Like I wrote that on my kitchen, on my little board in my kitchen was, what if I chose to be happy anyways? Regardless if he did X, Y, and Z perfectly to make me happy. Regardless if our bank account proved that I should feel happy, regardless if my kids did things perfectly to make me happy. That's a huge burden to put on our kids to make us happy as a mom. I used to say things to my kids like, you're making me angry, or, when you do this, I'm not happy. That's whatever. And I realized that is a shameful way to parent. It's putting shame and blame on them. That is not their responsibility to act a certain way in order for me to be happy. That should not affect me. I should be happy anyways. And then we can discipline the kids, however, but that's not their responsibility. So it's fascinating, and what goes on within us. And another thing that I thought of as you were talking was Joe Dispenza has so much fabulous information on how our thoughts and feelings affect our physical body. So I have a nursing degree and a massage therapy license, and I started to understand the physical body and how it worked. Then I started to understand energy and how that's affecting our body. And we hold energy in our body. So when we think differently, when we feel differently, when we speak differently, our words are so powerful. In the Bible, it says life and death is in the power of the tongue. Our tongue speaks literally life or death, either one. There's really not a gray place in between. It's either we're speaking life over us and our situation and all the things, or we're speaking death. And so when we can tap into the power, we have so much power within us. Just through our words, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, all of that is power. And how are we using it? Are we using it in a way that we choose, or are we using it based off of what we see in our reality right now? Because we're going to create more of whatever we're tuned to. And so anyone out there, there's so much information on this, but YouTube, Joe Dispenza, if you want to see more about how your thoughts and feelings create physical, signs and symptoms within your body, and how it can be healed. And I truly do believe, because I came from one end of the spectrum of medicine, Western medicine fixed everything. It was cure all of everything until it wasn't in my life. And then I flipped a 180. We did home births with our children. One of them, the midwife didn't even make it. My husband delivered her in our living room, my husband and my sister. And so I really do. And I did meditation. I had found hypnobirthing when I was, using my midwife and things. And had you told me this very much before, I don't know what opened my mind and my heart up to these things, but I'm so grateful that I was open-minded to it. And I didn't take too much offense to it. In the beginning, I would take offense to things, of like, I didn't create, like you said, I didn't create this. I didn't, whatever. But when we can just step back and look at it objectively, not taking everything on as, not taking it all in, just like, these things happen. I want like a puzzle. How did these pieces get put here? And what if I could rearrange them and make a different something that I like better? And just play with it and just see, like, what would my imagination do? What would this be like if I meditated? What would this be like if I, like you said, process emotions? I was in a place, I had processed the same emotions for 17 years. Well, 15 years. I had processed the same emotions every single day. And I was in a pattern of that. I was in a habit of feeling that way. And I got to finally make a choice to move forward. So once we process emotions, I think there's value in that. And then we can make a choice, though, to go forward in our imagination of what we would love. So Joe Dispenza has, like I said, fabulous information on that. I would love to keep going, but I'll let them search that out on their own. I just wanted to throw that bit in there, that not that I know everything, but I do feel like I've studied quite a bit on different ends of the spectrum. And I can now see where, yes, I'm grateful for science. I'm grateful for medicine. And I do still use some medicine, but I think there's a whole lot of other things that we can do, either before the medicine part or in congruence with that, to have harmony, to have experiences that we love. When we can implement all the things that we have. And like you said, we live in countries, I'm in the US, so Jay's in Canada. So we live in countries where we do have access to so much. That sometimes I think we forget the underlying simple, harmonious way of living that we were created for. Then when we can add in those other things to aid us in that, they both can work together. Instead of, like you said, working in the masculine or for me, it's like the medicinal, all of that so hard. of making sure we're on track with our cycles, of making sure we're ovulating, of making sure all the boxes are checked, we can tap into this other feminine creative. You know, when we were talking about energy earlier, feminine energy is very creative. And so are we using that to create what we love, or are we just seeing the perception of our reality? So anyhow, I wanted to throw that in there really quickly because I think that's, it was valuable for me. I think it might be valuable for some of your listeners as well.
Yeah, I absolutely. So I read Dr. Joe Dispenza's The Art of the Art of Breaking Yourself, The Habit of Breaking Yourself. Sorry. Like the book is actually just anyway. It was an incredible book. Sometimes it was harder to read because it's very sciencey. However, he nailed some amazing points. And while I was actually reading the book with my morning study group, I kept getting ads for sound healing. And I kept looking at this, and I absolutely love sound healing because I love how you can balance yourself. I love all the different things, and I'm not going to go off in a whole tangent about sound healing. But he just made me really understand that we hold so much energy within our body. And, you know, for himself, I believe he's a quadriplegic, like after his accident. And he was told, like,
motorcycle accident.
Yeah, like he's like, you're never going to walk again. Like, you are here forever. He's now walking and talking and on stage and doing all these crazy things. So it's amazing what our mind can do. And that's why I love having these tools, because I've talked about on another podcast episode of mine about frequencies and vibrations. But when you think that life is happening to you, your world will create all the things. So that's when, going back to my ragey thing, I had to really understand, because I really felt that life was happening to me. It was never happening for me. The universe conspired, God conspired, spirit, creator, whatever you resonate with, really conspired to show me that life was just happening to me. By switching my thoughts and really delving into gratitude, I really started to believe, like, life is happening for me, not to me. Life is really happening for me. And, you know, some people look and say, well, you're a stay-at-home mom, it was easy. Getting up at 5 a.m. when your son doesn't sleep through the night so I can spend an hour studying before everyone is up out of the house, and, you know, trying to do all the things with kids at home and never having a break. No, it wasn't easy for me. And asking my husband for money to pay for something, because yes, our income is our income. But I was like, can we do this to help expand your business? Can we do this so I can do something that I love, so that I have the time flexibility to work from home? It took dedication. It took work. It took things. But I flipped the perspective in my mind of, like, what would I really love to do? And being in that feminine energy, the creativity was flowing through me of how I could help women, because I really do feel that, as much as I wish I never had to go through a fertility journey the way I did, I got so many different aspects that I feel that I can relate to women and that I can help them, or I can reach out and give them different resources. If I'm not a coach that you want to work with, I can tell you, you know, so many other coaches that might resonate with you. Or, you know, when you do get to have your baby, if you're struggling breastfeeding, I know lots of different breastfeeding courses, or I can connect you with lactation consultants, different things like that. Just, it's any way that I can help is how I want to help. But it's that flipping the perspective and understanding the energy that you hold in your body. And since being on my podcast and openly talking about my fertility journey, so many women have opened up to me about miscarriages or different experiences that they had. And they said, I've never told anyone this. And I thought, thank you. Thank you for sharing with me. But, you know, like, I've talked to women about tapping and how like, all the stuff that we hold within ourselves, we're affecting our nervous system. And, you know, and you just think, like, how can I change? Like, how can I put my body in alignment to receive? And you don't have to do sound healing. You don't have to do things. There's things you can instantly start right away, which is very much finding the gratitude that works for you, blessing and releasing the junk that is not holding you, is not serving you, changing the belief that things are actually working out for you. Like I love Abraham's Hicks, like her morning rampage, like everything's always working out for you. It's always working out for me. And she repeats it like 1,000 times. But by the end of like the 13-minute clip, you're like, holy, like everything really is working out for me. And I don't say that because I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I've got a business, I've got, I have my dream family. There's still contrast that is all around me. There's still a lot of crazy things in my physical environment that I wish I didn't have to deal with, or I wish that weren't happening. But I delve into my tools and I go to gratitude, or I remember my choice, or I bless and release, or I say, you know what, the house is quiet for 10 minutes. Instead of doing my workout today, I'm going to sit and I'm going to do my imagination. What do I want for the day? What do I want for the week? What do I want for the month? What do I want for the next 3 months? What do I want that's going to light me up? And if it means going on social media for 5 minutes and just saying what's on my heart, that's what I do. But I instantly get myself inspired, and I get myself to that place of, I know that I am meant to serve. I'm meant to help women because I know the struggle, and I don't ever wish this struggle upon any single person. And if I can make their journey lighter in any way, shape, or form, then that's what I want to do. Because, finding joy in the journey is the best part. I don't tell anyone I can guarantee that you can have a baby. No, but all the tools that, coaches give you, or, you can help manifest your baby. I truly do believe by changing your mindset and changing everything, you will manifest your baby. That is a true belief that I harness. Not everyone believes that, and that's okay. I'm not here to change the world's perception. I'm here to change the people that really want to listen. And
that are open to it.
Yeah.
It does. It takes alignment on both ends. We cannot be aligned for someone else if they're not willing to align with it themselves. Just like me. I mean, we can hold a belief for people. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I have really enjoyed doing, is holding a belief in a space for people to grow into the version of them that they desire. And I can help them align, but they have to also be willing to go there and believe it too, eventually, as they build in. Yeah. And you're doing amazing too, by the way. Like, I freaking love the work that you're doing in your posts and your stories and all of it. It's so inspiring and so, you're such a gift. Like, thank you for using your gift. There's a book called From Pain to Purpose. And I feel like that's what you've done. You took your pain, you've made a purpose of it, and like, you're serving, and it's changing people's lives. So thank you. I wanted to.
Jeez, Lauren, you're making me tear up here. Thank you. Honestly, there was something that sparked inside of me that I thought, if I can help anyone, that's what I want to do, because it's not an easy place. And I do know some people that got pregnant their first try through IVF. I know many people actually, but they didn't have an easy point to get to the IVF journey first. And I just think, society there's still the stigma talking about miscarriages or different things. And I think, no, we need to openly talk about it. There was Dawson from Dawson's Creek, James Vander. I think that's his name. Anyway, out of nowhere, a TikTok reel of his came up, and it was about miscarriage. And he said, I hate that word. He said, because it sounds like you did something wrong, like you missed something. And he said, women go through so many things. And he said, my God, it's not a miscarriage. They didn't do anything wrong. Just something, for whatever reason, this pregnancy didn't come to fruition. And I was like, holy Hades, where are you? Like, you're amazing. Thank you for putting that TikTok reel out there, because just even the word itself, it's like, like you said, you've missed something, and there's that stigma and everything around it that I want to break the stigma that it is so common. It is so common to have a miscarriage and, or, not get pregnant the first try. It's okay. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. And, just, yeah,
You're such a safe place to do that. Like, honestly, I mean, we're probably finished having kids, but like when I just think back to a younger version of me, if I would have known that these things were out there, if I would have known this resource was there, that like you were there, I just think of what a resource you are to young mothers or older mothers, any mothers, like anyone. Oh my gosh. I can only imagine what your calls are like with your clients.
They're all over the place. Like, they can be super fun, they can be super emotional, and sometimes they're hard. They're hard because I have to say some hard things sometimes, and I have to ask, like, how bad do you want this? And of course the answer is like, I want a baby so bad, otherwise I wouldn't be here. But it's like, okay, then it's okay to go into your imagination. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay, but don't pack up and stay feeling sad. Find the things that can make you happy. Go on a weekend, a mini vacation with your partner. Do whatever you can to find light right now. Don't keep focusing on how it hasn't worked so far, because if I had a crystal ball, and this is what I say to each one of my clients, if you had a crystal ball that said you're going to be pregnant on this date, you would be off living your life doing far more things because you know the date. We can be our own crystal balls. We don't have to know the date, but we can have fun. We can use our imagination. We can go to the places. We can manifest the things that we want instead of being in a place of, I'm waiting for my next cycle. I'm waiting for this, waiting and just really delving into hope. I hope that I get to be a mom. I hope I get to be a dad. I hope I get to be pregnant. I hope I get to expand my family. Hope is a beautiful thing, but hope isn't just enough. Hope is like that tipping point to get you to where you need to be.
Hope's a start.
Hope is a start. Absolutely. And, I had a woman say to me, she said, just talking to you, she said, your voice is really calming. And I said, thank you. And she's like, you're humble. And I said, because I still can't believe that I'm doing this. And she said, what do you mean by that? And I said, years ago, I was very quiet and shy and very reserved. I said, I would have never imagined myself opening up the way that I have. And I said, I'm just thankful that I get to help people in any way, shape, or form. And I said, and I'll always be that way. And I said, so if that keeps me humble, thank you. I said, but I'm just beyond grateful that I can do anything to help someone smile or help them on their journey or help them manifest their life. And I do say harder things that sometimes, like when you do have your baby, visualize your life with baby. Visualize your life, what it's going to be. Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want to go back to work? And in every country and state, it's different on your maternity leave. Some honor, 18 months. Some it's 3 months. So what do you want to do? And what do you see for your family? Like, how do you want to live your life? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to take vacations? Whatever resonates with you is your desire and is unique to you. But my God, every day I wake up thankful that I can get to talk to people and I can help people. And, I feel like it's an honor for me that I can just talk to people in any way, shape, or form. I don't consider myself a superpower. I don't consider myself a gift. I just feel thankful, and that it's what's on my heart. And I feel immensely grateful that I was called to do this. And that was something that I discovered when I was really thinking about me, is I just thought to myself, like, what would I love to do? And I look at my husband, like he's a chef. He loves cooking. I love cooking, but I would not want to be a chef. And that's what I said to him. I said, we are all called to do something so very different. And when you go back to that clear glass, Bob Proctor talks about your DNA is perfect. Every single human's, their DNA is perfect. We just start to get bogged down with virus code, society, being a product of our environment, and not controlling our thoughts, not controlling our minds, not connecting to what it is that we want. And when I was on TV, my dad watched the episode, he watched the replay, and he said to me, teary-eyed, and he said, Jesse, he said, you got me thinking. I thought, me? I got my dad thinking? Okay, something happened here.
This is big.
Yeah. And he said to me, he's like, I am so focused on waking up. I go to work. I'm excited to do my work day. I come home. And he's like, you know what? I'm exhausted. He's like, I get to be with your mom. We take the dog for a walk. We have dinner. And he said, sometimes we have friends over for like, a chat on the front porch or whatever. He's like, but I don't connect ever with what makes my soul happy. I don't connect with what lights me up. And he said, and I've never actually connected what I'm here for a purpose. And I said, every single one of us is here for a purpose. We just need to find what that is. And he just said to me, he's like, are you really my kid? I said, yes, I'm your kid. I'm proud to be your kid. But it just, at a young age, at 15, I started being called to different things that like life is meant for something more, but I didn't know what that was. And I lost my way. I am not ashamed to say I lost my way for a long time, where I just, I became in this box, and I thought I was supposed to stay in this box, and it didn't feel comfortable. I felt super lonely. I knew I had so many things to be grateful for, but I couldn't feel it. And I felt even more worse because I'm like, I know I'm supposed to feel grateful. I know I have a lot of things, but I don't feel grateful for any of this. And I would just beat myself up until, my grandma passed away, and both my grandmas passed away in 2021. But the last couple years of my grandma's life, like I really do, joining the coaching program, I contributed to my grandma the most, because the last couple years of her life, she kept saying like, I really feel old. And she's like, I'm alone. I'm not married. And she's like, all my kids have their babies and their babies have babies. And she's like, she's like, it's a kind of a lonely world. And she volunteered in so many different things to keep her busy with her time. But she's like, getting old is not something you ever want to do. And I thought, when she passed away, I thought, my God, I don't want to get old. I will get old, but I will do it very differently. And I thought, I don't want to waste another second of my life. I really want to do something incredible. And what is that? And I thought, I just love helping people. And I have a story. I went through something and I found my way through. And, I applied all of these things to my marriage. I applied these things to my stepfamily life. I applied all of the things, and I watched my world around me start to transform. And sometimes you don't notice the transformation until you look back and you're like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you're just like, hey, the things that were going on aren't going on anymore. It's actually a really cool thing. So yeah, just tying the whole thing in, there is so many amazing free things out, either YouTube or TikToks, anything, but I truly do love Abraham Hicks. I love Joe Dispenza. There's so many of them. Matthew McConaughey just did a free live thing. He said some really amazing things, and I really love right now, at least for me, I'm noticing a lot of famous people talking about manifesting. Jennifer Aniston was just talking about manifesting. Oprah's been talking about manifesting. Matthew McConaughey is talking about thinking, thank you. People look to you. So, but yeah, I want people to have these tools, because yes, you can apply it to a fertility journey. You can apply it to your marriage. You can apply it to your life, but you can start living such a more fulfilling life. And it's not about being a stay-at-home mom or getting up and doing your 9-to-5 job or whatever your, income stream looks like. Whatever lights you on fire, start now. Be it now. And there's so many things that you can do right now that doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't make you change. Your internal world will change, and then you'll see your external world change. But even feeling that change inside and letting go of feelings that don't serve you or beliefs that don't serve you. Like, I can't tell you, I've had 3 clients that money was a big issue for them. And I said to them, I get you. I resonate very much. Money was scary, scary for me for a really long time. I said, go on that mini vacation, take a weekend away. You can find cheaper places. You can do an Airbnb instead of maybe a hotel, or find cheaper ways to do things, but go just take that vacation. Do whatever you can to find that joy right now and start feeling it right now. Because even if you're out of that negative feedback loop for half an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, a whole day, a whole week, that is far more your collapsing time right now than staying in that I'm waking up, I'm going to work, eat, sleep, repeat, doing the same things over and over and over again, because you'll never get that time back. Don't feel bad about it. Just know that this moment right now, you have the opportunity to change. You have the opportunity to step into the version of you. And you know what? I put it in the book, but I truly do believe it. A quote that stuck to me is that, what if your story could be someone else's survival guide? What if? So I just want everyone to feel the way I feel. I want everyone to know that you can live an amazing life, even if you don't have a massive income stream. You don't have to have a massive income stream to generate money to you, to flow money to you. And, you know, I just, my podcast that came out this morning, it was all about beliefs, just talking about where you hold your belief. And it's easy to change your belief, but sometimes we rebuke it. We're just like, I don't want to change my belief. This is what I've always known. And you just think to yourself, no, but change it now. Change what you want to believe to be true, and that will become what is true. So that's all the things I could honestly just keep going on and on. I love chatting with you.
It's been fun.
And honestly, Lauren, you are a true gift and a true light. And even just like from the time we met in our mastermind to now, you have grown exponentially. And I honestly, I love you. I think you're amazing. And thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, thank you. I've enjoyed every minute. I know I could say all the things back to you. I know, like one of these days I want to meet you and hug your neck.
We will do our summit, and we will have people come to us, and we are all going to hug on stage and probably have some tears. But I'm just, yes, I am beyond grateful that I have met you and I really do believe, like, we manifested Kathleen all at different times because we all took the course at different times. But the universe, God, creator, spirit, it brought us together for a reason. And, you know, I love knowing that at a moment's notice, I could text the group and be like, guys, I'm having a day. Just give me some inspiration.
Yes. And I think too, who we surround ourselves with is so important. You know, having a coach, having our group, our mastermind, all the things, like people who are out there who are on this journey of mindset and manifestation and all this, like keep going and surround yourself with like-minded people. Will make such a difference.
Mm-hmm. There's a TikTok that I watch on a regular basis, because there is a huge fear about when you start evolving and you start growing, there is some people that will exit your life just because they're not on the same wavelength as you. They don't necessarily have the same beliefs, or you know what? The true honesty, some people really do enjoy feeling stuck. And so the TikTok that I've seen, it's just very much all about, you know, when she goes quiet, she's not hiding herself, she's healing herself. And when she comes out, she's emerging. She gets to be the version of her that she wants to be. And it's more so about healing, and it's all about those things. But I can honestly tell you, when you lead from your heart and you guide your light, people will be attracted to you. And even those people that may have left for a while, they will find their way back because they're like, I want to know what you're doing because you're a different person and I like this person. And yeah, so again, I could go on a whole nother rampage, but do fill yourself. And it's okay if you go quiet for a while, healing yourself. It's okay if you say, you know what, I don't want to go out right now with the girls and have like a rant fest. I want to be I want to be light right now. I want to be focused on my goals and my dreams, and that's okay too. You have to do what resonates for you. You have to do what fills your heart so much, because you will find that community of people, whether they're in your hometown or through Zoom, wherever they are, you will find those people that light you up, that change your world. And it's an incredible place. And I say this often, like, I know that this is just the beginning. Even though I've been doing this for a while, I still feel like this is just the beginning, because we never know what we're capable of. And even when we start to feel the success and we start to see the things, you still never know what exactly you are capable of. You're always growing, you're always expanding. And it's an amazing place to be. So
it is. It's really fun.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for having me on here. It is such an honor to just have the opportunity to be here. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. So listeners, I am going to link any social media links that Lauren wants to provide me. I'll put those in the podcast notes, and her coaching services and things like that. If Lauren resonates with you, she is an honest powerhouse. She's amazing. So I will link all of those in the podcast notes. And thank you for being here with me today. If you found this helpful or know anyone that needs to hear this, please share. And don't forget to leave a review and subscribe. In love and gratitude, Jessica.